ready? Begin. Hi, I'm Henry Hayes. I am the third speaker for the proposition side of the U.S. should not intervene in foreign affairs. And I will begin by refuting a few of my opponent's points and then win the debate. So we brought up civilian deaths, and I feel that the opposition side had little to no evidence. Little to no reason for why these civilian deaths were justified, or why it's okay that we are able to intervene into foreign affairs and kill these civilians. And they said that U.S. intervention always works, but then they went back and said that it doesn't always work, in examples such as the Middle East. And also, the only examples they had of U.S. intervention that worked were in World War II, which was around 70 years ago. And those are non-relevant issues, and we're talking about issues now, such as the Middle East, and we have intervened in foreign affairs in the Middle East before, and like my first two speakers were saying, in the Iraq invasion, we've killed numerous civilians, and the hatred towards the U.S. government has only grown. In Palestine, 70% of people oppose the U.S. and its actions in the Middle East. And in Iraq, 79% of people oppose the actions of the U.S. And our opponent said that they did use sources, but they only mentioned 2 sources, and they failed to mention any dates of when these things happened. And also, they said that the U.S. topples dictators, but it's been shown that many times that throughout history, the U.S. tries to put in puppets or dictators that are pro-West, but it never ends well, and there are always revolts. And these dictators often kill civilians, like my speakers brought up, and they failed to mention that these dictators kill civilians, and that we put quite a few dictators in power, and this causes more hatred towards the U.S. Hello, my name is Henry Hayes, and Judge Henry ready?
Are you refuting first or
I'm refuting first. Hi, I'm Henry Hayes. I am the second speaker for the proposition side of the argument the U.S. should substantially increase the use of one or more clean energy sources. I will start by refuting some of my opponent's claims and going into some of my own. So my opponents stated that there was a nuclear disaster caused by a 9.2 magnitude earthquake, but they never listed what that disaster was. But I know what they're talking about. It's the Fukushima Daiichi power plant disaster in Japan of 2011, which could have easily been countered by not building the power plant so close to the ocean, because they're now susceptible to tsunamis. So they learned their lesson and will build them farther away from the ocean. And you said that wind turbines have something that produce a noise that causes PTSD in humans, but you can easily counter this by building the wind turbines in non-residential areas where there aren't many people. And now I will get into a few of my own points. Point number 1, climate change is here, and this is the only way that we can fix it. According to NASA.gov, the carbon dioxide parts per million 20,000 years ago was 75 parts per million. It then took 19,700 years for it to increase 105 parts per million to 280 parts per million. It then only took 300 years for the level to increase 220 parts per million after the Industrial Revolution. Today's level is 400 CO2 molecules per other million molecules in our atmosphere. Before anybody says that this is just a phase in the Earth, it is not, judges. In 400,000 years, 200,000 years before the appearance of modern humans, the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has never been above 300 parts per million. Now we will get on to my second point. Oil, natural gas, and coal are all non-renewable resources. According to HowStuffWorks.com, oil, natural gas, and coal are non-renewable, and at the rate that we are going, we will run out of them anytime soon. And there will inevitably be a fight over these resources. Also, when we are relying on countries such as Saudi Arabia and other countries in the Middle East for resources such as oil, which is part of the reason that we're in so much debt. Maybe if we weren't to rely on other countries that much, we wouldn't have to owe that much money to them, and we could have it would help our economy. So point number 3, not renewable resources and clean energy greatly helps our economy. This is because we will get exponentially more jobs because it's a new business and more people will be employed because there will be more work to be done. And there are so many new sources of energy that we aren't even using. And if we want to have a self-sustaining economy and not be reliant on other countries, because that will inevitably cause a fight, and that's part of the reason that we are in debt. And it might cost a lot of money at the start to use these alternative energy sources. Wait, I'm hoping by saying it's a lot of money. It will cost a lot of money to set up these non-renewable resources, but in the end, it will greatly help our economy by getting more jobs and decrease our debt, and it will also decrease the risk of climate change, which is an ever-growing issue in today's society, and you cannot deny it. And I hope with all this information that we have given you, you choose the proposition for the winning side of this argument.
The source was
The source was green energy advancement.